Falcons fans, welcome in. It is episode 21 of Out of Your Falcon Mind, Atlanta Falcons fan cast. I'm John, one of your hosts, joined again by my special guest host this week, Troy, filling in for Mike while he's on vacation. Troy, whatever you want to say, Merry Happy New Year's Eve, man.
Yeah, no, it's New Year's Eve. Who would have thought we're almost at 2022?
I like to call it this year is 2020 part 2. It's just
don't even say that, man. I've heard people like on Twitter and stuff saying that. I don't even want to hear we're going to have a repeat of 2020.
No, I was saying this year is like 2020 part 2, 21.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. Yes. Yeah. No, I hope we can put all that behind us at some point, though.
Yeah, man, I'm so tired of it. Yeah, to say the least. But Mike, like I said, he is on vacation this week amidst the review show, but he does. We're going to try. He sent in a message. So if I can get it on the podcast, I will have it at the end of the podcast. That's just a happy, basically wishing everybody a New Year's, but also thanking everyone. So he's got to just hopefully, if it's on here at the end, then it worked out. If you don't hear his voice at the end, then it didn't work out. He'll tell you on the next episode. But just in case it doesn't work out, Mike, he is very appreciative of everyone listening, especially through this first, season we started doing this. We started about 4 or 5 weeks into the season. He's just very appreciative of everyone and wishes everyone a very happy New Year. But like I said, cross our fingers that I can get the audio on to the podcast, and the producer's also off this week. Which there is none. That's all me. Before we get started, man, Troy, we did have a 5-star review I wanted to read out. And thanks so much. It is from P Matrick. And it just says, great listen and then great podcast. Love the name. Much appreciated, man. Short and sweet. I dig it. Thank you for,
cool.
Thanks for listening, man. And we did have an email, but I'm not going to read it. So Terry, if you're listening, we got the email, but since it does kind of involves what Mike said on a previous episode, I'm going to wait till Mike's here to read it out because I think he'll really like it. So we got your email, man. We appreciate it. We will read it out on the next one. And before we get into anything football related or anything Falcons related, we got to talk about the passing this week of John Madden, man. 85 years old. You and I both grew up playing Madden religiously against each other. And seasons. And Mike's talked about it on the podcast before, like on the Christmas episode, he said that was the one thing that him and his brother got every Christmas was the Madden game, so it's
same.
Yeah.
That's my childhood. I don't know what our all-time record is head to head, but my best memories of some of my best memories of my childhood is playing Madden and listening to John Madden and Pat Summerall kind of do their thing in the booth. So no, that's a terrible loss. He's definitely a legend.
Yeah. Same. Anytime you saw those guys on, and it was a important game, big game. You remember the Thanksgiving games, and just iconic, man. That was, and that was before, of course, his coaching days are before our time. Legend and coaching, and then just made an entirely new, built up and a empire basically out of the Madden game. And it's funny looking back at some of the stuff. The reason he even agreed to it because he wanted the football game to be as real as possible. He wanted it to help. He wanted it to help people learn the game and actually, have fun with it at the same time. So I don't know if you saw some of the insane takes on Twitter this week. Some people talking about how his game led to contributed to. What the?
I know you and I both are all over Twitter, and thankfully Twitter isn't real life, but some of those takes out there were just a pretty good story of how far gone we are as a society.
So much of it is clickbait. They just want to get people to go on there and respond. But I didn't even respond to one dude saying that, how much has he contributed to the head injuries and concussions. I'm like, dude, it wasn't. If you're going to point out Madden, and the hit stick and stuff like that, you just listen to a broadcast in the 90s or the 80s. Anytime somebody got blown up, man, all broadcasters all over it too. It didn't matter what it was. If you were a kid growing up playing football, you wanted to hit the guy as hard as you could. Like if you had that mentality, that doesn't matter whether you were playing Madden or not.
Absolutely.
I mean,
that's football. No, a funny one that I saw is John Madden and his video games are responsible for most of us being better at clock management than Mike McCarthy.
That's awesome. Could throw Dan Quinn in there too.
Yeah, that's very, very true.
That's funny. But yeah, now I mean, but that just, you know, and of course, you know, right when you see it nowadays too, somebody passes away and all of a sudden it gets piled on. It's amazing.
Yep. Dance on his grave. Yep.
Yeah, I don't get it, man. But like you said, different culture nowadays, say the least. Anyway, so getting on to a few Falcons news and notes, we did sign Matt Barkley a couple of days ago, just because I guess Felipe Franks was in COVID protocol. So hopefully he doesn't see the field. I mean, if he does, we're in really, really bad shape.
We're in trouble.
Yeah. So, but that's just, you know, a little off the cuff signing there. And I did see this morning we signed another offensive lineman. I believe it was John Leonard or something like that. I can't remember his name exactly, but it was, again, somebody that because Spriggs is on the COVID list, we needed somebody just, you know, the oh shit kind of guy in case we have to go to him. But, and then I didn't watch the entire Dean Pease press conference, but he did have a funny quote. They asked him about how would he stop Josh Allen this week, and he said not let him off the bus.
That's all right.
Yeah, I mean, that's about looking at some of this. Yeah, man, it's exactly right. And then there was a cool story this week on Foyer by Josh Kendall at The Athletic, just talking about how, you know, basically how he's just come of age this season. I mean, last week, 13 tackles against Detroit, giving him 10 games this season with double-digit tackles, most by any Atlanta player since 2000, which is pretty impressive. He did win Defensive Player of the Week after his big pick at the end of the game. This year, he's second NFL in tackles, 166 on pace for 188, which would be the most by a Falcons player since Keith Brooking, which he had 207 in 2003. And then he's played 951 snaps this year, the most by any Atlanta defender, and then ninth most on defense in the league. And I mean, that just shows you how valuable he is to that defense and what, you know. And Deion even talked about it. Debo talked about it, how he stepped into that leader role and just taking it. And he's been like, you know, Pease has said before, and he, you know, I'm paraphrasing what he said, but that he's a big dude, which he likes his Mike linebackers to be big dudes. He can run quick. He's going to hit you. Smart. I mean, we talked about, doesn't hurt that, you know, the guys from Yale, and, you know, has a pretty good head on his shoulders. So
yep.
It's going to be interesting to see how they treat his contract, because I don't even know. I mean, clearly they're going to look at some market comps and see kind of where he lines up, but he could be interesting. There'll be some teams interested with his, you know, I don't know.
No doubt, but they need to pay that man. They got to find a way to keep him.
Yeah, exactly. But I thought that was a pretty cool story there. And then looking at just some off the wall, like what the hell type of facts here that you would never guess. The Falcons have forced at least one turnover in 11 consecutive games, which is the longest active streak in the NFL.
That's insane.
It's just bizarre. I mean, I just never would have guessed that. I mean, who would after watching this year? I mean, that's and then the second one, this is from Secret Base on Twitter. And I've actually found it through Falcons Corner, who we've referenced him before. He does a blog, a good blog actually, for the Falcons. So every NFL team's defense through week 16, there's been one team to not allow a play over 40 yards, and that would be us, the Falcons.
So they don't allow big plays.
Yeah, we allow the little tiny ones to get
just a lot of small plays.
A ton of small plays to just eat us up down the field. And if y'all can you hear my dog barking?
Yeah, I kind of can.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I guess somebody's here, maybe Amazon or something. we keep it's like Amazon's came every day for the last I don't know how long. But yeah, that's pretty crazy facts right there. Just like I said, not something out of left field I would not have guessed based on our defense. But I mean, we have been very much. I mean, we bend a hell of a lot and we break sometimes. But I mean, it's I mean, the fact we're not giving. I mean, a lot of that too. I mean, it's due to our back end. I mean, with AJ blocking down
Yep.
his side of the field pretty well. He'll have his hands full this week whenever he's lined up against Stephon Diggs. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. Let's see, getting on to the Bills preview now. Man, I was doing some research on this and looking at the season that the Bills have had, and it's up and down. I mean, for the most part, the records aren't so. I mean, they only have 2 more wins than we do, which is funny. They have absolutely just demolished some teams. I mean, like blowing them out. They had a 40-0 win against the Texans. They had a 35-0 win against the Dolphins, the streaking Dolphins now, ironically enough. Yeah, they beat the Colts 41-15. But then, they lost to the Jaguars, which was very odd, 9-6. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how that happened. But it's the NFL, man. I mean, that's what me and Mike talk about every week is, I mean, you can easily look at paper and say, well, we should, like on this game, particularly like we were just talking about before the show. I mean, if you look at it on paper, we shouldn't even book the tickets to go up there. Like there's no reason for us to take this flight. And looking, I mean, the Patriots last week, they took care of them pretty well. So yeah, I don't know, man.
They lost at home against the Patriots.
Yeah.
In New England, and
yeah,
within a matter of like 4 weeks, which is but you're right, NFL.
Yeah, no, and then I know you got a few stats you want to share too. Before we get to that, just to look over the injury list, injury/COVID list, as COVID continues to wreck the sports world. Which, by the way, man, how did the Hawks not? I'm going to get off on this, but how do we not get a game canceled?
Yep, everybody else is, and we're running out there with, no forwards and
literally with Collins. I watched the Bulls game the other night. Cam, Trey, and freaking center.
Oh, Cabela?
Yeah. That was the only 3 dudes we had.
Yeah.
And I mean, the rest of them were College Park Skyhawks. I mean, and then I couldn't believe it.
No, that's insane. I don't know why the NBA doesn't want to throw us a bone and wants us to continue trotting out the G League team.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And sorry, I don't know why I just blanked on Capella. Actually, I do know because in August, full disclosure, I woke up at 9:30. We are recording this about 45 minutes after I woke up on New Year's Eve morning. And I do have my coffee though, my favorite new coffee with the old Falcon in red. That's pretty solid.
All kinds of Falcon swag going on today,
dude. I got a ton of Falcon stuff for. I mean, I'm so like if we talk about the Christmas, I'm so easy, man. It's like they'll like that. I mean, just pick that out. They'll like that. So anyway, back to the injury report. Yeah, so they're pretty healthy, man. Per ESPN, the Bills activated Cole Beasley and Gabriel Davis, offensive lineman John Feliciano, and defensive end AJ Epinesa from the reserve COVID list on Wednesday. Provides a huge boost against, obviously, I don't know if they needed it, but it provides a huge boost against us. They, since the new guidelines of CDC, because those guidelines continually change seemingly every week as well. I think if you poo between the hours of 10 and 2, I think you're safe to go out. After that, I don't know. It's just getting, I don't know. I can't even follow it anymore. But anyway, isolation time has now been set for 5 days for all players, vaccinated or unvaccinated, who test positive. So as long as the player is asymptomatic or can demonstrate that the symptoms are resolving, which I guess that's very, very gray.
So is there an actual requirement for a negative test? Or it doesn't seem like there is, right?
It doesn't seem like it is. I don't know.
Asymptomatic and you test positive 5 days after that, regardless of whether you still have COVID or not, you're back in.
As long as your symptoms are resolving. Which
whatever that means. Okay.
I don't know does the team doctor say you just go and say mine. I mean,
mine.
I don't know, man. If it's I mean, I know it affects everyone differently. I mean, clearly because I mean we've had it. I mean, we had Delta and it beat our ass for a few weeks. But I mean, everybody that I know that has Omicron, which actually is quite a lot of people right now. I mean, it's runny nose, a little bit tired. Like I don't know anybody that's got really, really terrible symptoms from it. I'm sure it exists. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, from the people I know, it's nothing like Delta was or the previous whatever.
The same thing I've heard. And I guess to the NFL's credit, you do need to adjust based on new information. And if
Absolutely.
play is weak or cold like as they say, then yeah, I mean, why are we doing anything? Why are we even testing asymptomatic people? But
Yep. Yeah, I know. So anyway, like I don't want to get off on a COVID rant because man, like we said,
episode.
exactly. But yeah, looking at, like I said, their injury report, Emmanuel Sanders is questionable. He did not practice on Thursday with a knee issue. Jordan Poyer, their really, really good safety. One of their two, actually both safeties are really good. He's questionable. Taiwan Jones, running back, questionable. Mario Addison, who's a really good situational pass rusher, questionable. Ed Oliver, questionable. Vernon Butler, questionable. Yeah, so, and then Ike Boetker was placed on an injured reserve on Monday after he tore his Achilles against the Bills. So, and their offensive line's been not great this year either. Allen's had to kind of, but that dude's arm, it doesn't matter. I mean, he can throw upside down. Doesn't matter what position he's in. He's going to throw a dart, apparently. Some of those throws he made last week, moving to his left, throwing a dart across the field. I mean, that is next level arm talent, man. But yeah, so they're overall, I mean, if Emmanuel Sanders doesn't play, that will be a benefit to us because God knows if wherever Diggs is, if he's not on Terrell, if Terrell's not on guarding Diggs, he will be double teamed by whoever else. And that actually goes into our our list of people that are out. And Fabian Moreau is questionable, which could be really, really big because if he's not at full strength and he's got a rib injury, that could really hurt on the other side of the field because also, and these guys that are in the COVID protocol, they do have a chance to come off and be ready for the game. This hasn't happened as of yet, as of Friday morning. So Richie Grant is out with the COVID protocol. So is Felipe Franks, James Valters, Brandon Copeland, Tajay Sharp, all out with COVID protocol. But again, they do have a chance to test or I guess with the new whatever, be asymptomatic and be able to play. And then other just non-COVID related injuries. Actually, no, Fabian Moreau would be it. Everybody else is the COVID. It's crazy. Yeah, Marlon Davidson is out, placed on COVID list. Tyler Davison, COVID list. So yeah, it's everybody's COVID list except for Fabian, who just has the rib injury. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, going into, like I said, I mean, we're gonna need all the help we can get against Diggs and Allen. But I know, like I said, you had some a couple of crazy stats or whatever news to share. So go ahead.
So I mean, I think this is a classic example of the bully versus the team, or the bully and the Bills versus the team and the Falcons that kind of have been bullied against better teams this year. So kind of a fascinating stat to me that I heard this week is the Falcons have played 5 teams, 6 games. They played the Bucs twice that, based on current probability, 538 odds, had a greater than 50% chance of making the playoffs. So those 5 teams are the Eagles, Bucs twice, Cowboys, Patriots, and 49ers. In those 6 games, they had been outscored 209-64. So minus 145 point differential. So here we know they're 7-8. The overall point differentials minus 122, which isn't great, but as that's all against the good teams. They, as we said a million times, they play the mid-tier and bad teams pretty well and have found a way to win those close games, but they've gotten pretty well blown out by the better teams. So on the flip side of that, the Bills, and I know, John, you kind of walked through their schedule and some of their games. And they've had some weird games, like you mentioned. I mean, they lost the Jags on the road, which is just bizarre. But against those same type of teams, greater than 50% chance of making the playoffs, they are 7-2 with a plus 172 point differential. So they have pretty well manhandled the good teams. So to your point, yes, I mean, on paper, Falcons shouldn't even make the plane ride to Buffalo, but it's the NFL, anything could happen. The other thing I wanted to mention is weather. Falcons have not played in sub 50 degree temperature all year. obviously, primarily a dome team other than the roof being open occasionally in Atlanta, but haven't played in, what I would consider cold weather all year. Current forecast for Buffalo for Sunday is a high of 29, 60% chance of snow.
Toasty.
Yeah, exactly. The 25-mile-an-hour wind. So the wind might, maybe slow the passing game down a little bit. But Josh Allen, man, he can make it. He can get it done with his feet. They have a good running game, between Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, Matt Breida, and of course Josh Allen. So
Yeah.
I know that you're going to slow down the Bills. I don't know how Jacksonville did, but
that's just a bizarre.
But yeah, so just some kind of interesting stats going into the game. Again, on paper, doesn't look good for our Falcons.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the Patriots when they played at the Bills. That was probably one of the most boring games I've ever seen in my life, because I think Matt Jones threw the ball maybe 3 times during the game when they ran which, if that made, like you said, if the wind is a big factor, then yeah, we might be, running the ball a lot, because but I'm going to trust that Josh Allen can still make some of those passes even in the wind.
He can. So his arm strength, and yeah, he can.
Yeah.
Slow him down too much.
Yeah, and taking a quick look at the offensive and defensive rankings, the Bills offense, they're 6th overall in total offense, around 381 yards per game, 7th in passing, 261 yards a game, 11th in rushing, 120 yards a game, 3rd in points per game scored at 28.5. Against our defense now, this doesn't look great. We're 24th in total D, giving up 365 yards per game, 23rd in pass defense. We're pretty consistent, 22nd in rush defense, and 28th in points allowed at 26.7. So all that just, yeah. And then our offense, 25th in total offense, 310 yards a game, 16th in passing, 31st, almost dead last in rushing at 86, and 25th in scoring at 18.5. And their defense, 1st in total D at 288 yards allowed per game, 1st in passing defense at 173 yards allowed per game, 17th in rush defense, 115, which is really their only blip, to be honest. And they're
we can't run the ball.
Right. And they're 3rd in points allowed at 17.6. As far as turnovers go, they're +10. And regardless of us getting 11 straight games, at least 8 turnover, we are still -5.
So how is that possible?
We get like one. We get our 1, and that's it.
Yeah, and then we turn it over twice.
Exactly. So yeah, looking at the overall, like I said, their rush defense is it. Their pass defense, like we said, Tre'Davious White, I think, is out. He's been out, but and that he's a fantastic corner. But they've got 2 really good corners anyway, and 2 of the best safeties in the league. Both those guys have 5 interceptions each from the safety position, Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. And their sack, they don't have a lot of sacks, a ton of sacks as far as one guy, but they're spread out pretty over the leading sack leader is F.A. Obata at 3.5. And everybody else, Mario Addison has 4. I missed that guy. But again, he's more of a situational pass rusher, but there's a lot of guys who have 1.5, 1.5. They kind of spread it around as far as when it comes to sacks. But with our offensive line issues, they've got to be just foaming at the mouth to kind of just rush and get after these guys, especially, I guess some silver lining there. Mayfield has played in the cold weather at Michigan. Lindstrom has played in the cold weather at Boston College.
Is that really silver lining for you with Mayfield? Does anything give you hope with him?
Basically, that he won't get cold during the game.
Good to know.
Yeah, he was. I don't know what else to say about him. Yeah. So, like I said, looking at that, man. But like you said, it's NFL. I'm not even going to talk about the playoffs. We have if by God knows what, if we win this game, it's going to be amazing. It'll just be ridiculous because we are now, I think, 14.5 point underdogs last
time. I've seen, yeah.
I honestly see it being unfortunately, like a 40-10 type of game. I hope I'm wrong, but that's kind of what I see it as. Unless the weather just really gets involved and the Bills get a decent lead and they just get kind of conservative and just basically just protect the lead, because knowing we're not going to have much of a chance to come back. In games like these too, I mean, you always wonder how much the underdog goes in. Just, we have literally nothing to lose. I mean,
Yep.
I mean, we'll see what kind of, we'll see. The weather will dictate a lot, because, you can't just open up a playbook and start doing different things when you've got 30-mile-an-hour winds and snow and,
Yep.
conditions that the player's not used to. So we'll see what happens with it. But, I mean, I think if we by chance pull this off, the Eagles have to lose twice, the Vikings need to lose, and something else needs to happen, and then we have to win next week.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
it's possible, but I mean, it's not.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah, basically what it boils down to. And then individually, I mean, like we talked about Josh Allen. I mean, this year he's only been pressured 26%, which I'm saying only. That's actually a pretty high rate, because that's right around the amount that Matt's been pressured. He just hasn't been hit as much, which nobody has been hit as much. He only has 57 QB hits. Matt's well over 100. So we're well up there. He's been hurried 84 times. They've blitzed him 160 times over the course of the year, which says, I don't know what this says really about the offensive line, other than, I mean, it's only given up 25 sacks. I mean, I guess, even with their issues, a lot of that's him though, getting out of the pocket, using his legs, because he is the team's second leading rusher.
I saw that. Yep.
I mean, 102 attempts, 619 yards. He's averaging, man, what is that? He's averaging like 6 yards a clip almost.
6.1.
Yeah. So that's pretty solid for, I mean, granted, because, a lot of the times, teams aren't prepared for the quarterback to get out of the pocket and take off. And I mean, unfortunately, he does that really well. And like you said, Zach Moss right behind him in third. Receiving wise, Stephon Diggs obviously leads their core by a lot. 9 touchdowns, over almost 1,100 yards. Played in all 15 games at 141 targets. The next closest, Cole Beasley, 101 targets, 640 yards. And that guy, I mean, he's like he may be more dangerous than Stephon Diggs because of just how teams beat us. I mean, he's a slant captain of the world.
Exactly. Yep.
So, I mean,
he's the dink and dunk guy. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, if they do that, then and other mentionables, Dawson Knox, like I said, Emmanuel Sanders, who's questionable, Devin Singletary out of the backfield catching the ball. So yeah, I mean, I didn't even realize Mitchell Trubisky was their backup until I started looking at this. I forgot he was even around.
He hasn't played much though. I think he only has 7 attempts all year.
Yeah. Well, thankfully for them, otherwise they'd be in trouble. But like we said on defense, I mean, their 2 safeties anchor that defense. They're back. The back part of their second. I mean, the secondary is really good. There's no other way around it. Which with Russell Gage as your number one going against, I would think they're going to key in on Pitts pretty heavily, and they're going to force. I would be, if I'm Buffalo, I'm going one-on-one, man-on-man with the receivers, making sure Pitts is taken care of. And if they're able to beat you with that wind, and then, hey, good for you. But if I don't see other, like I said, I just don't know how we really score. Because everywhere you look, I mean, we can't run the ball that well. We occasionally can. I don't know. This is going to be a tough matchup. It's maybe one of the toughest matchups we've seen all year, outside of maybe the Cowboys. But yeah, and so I don't know, man. So what's your overall score prediction?
Yeah, so my optimistic prediction is Bills 30, Falcons 17. And I think, kind of, I guess, big picture, what I think is going to happen is, the Bills will get up early, get a pretty solid lead, and then kind of slow it down, go to the ground, maybe, not run up the score like they probably could or should. And the Falcons may get a touchdown late to do the good old backdoor cover. But again, I mean, that's my optimistic prediction. It could easily be a 40-7 type of game, but I'm hoping that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and tell you Mike's prediction. He did not make this prediction. I just know him well enough to know that he will not pick the Bills to win. He will pick us to go up there and upset them. So Mike's going to say 10-3. He's gonna say our defense shows up.
Yeah, okay. Low scoring defensive battle. I like it.
Yeah. Again, Mike did not pick that at all. I just pulled that right out of my ass but Mike literally picks the Falcons to win every week.
He will not pick him to lose.
He will not. So I love him for it.
Yeah.
I am far more pragmatic, I guess you could say. Yeah, I don't see us having a chance to win, honestly. Yeah, I think it's probably a 30-10. I'll say 30-10, type of thing. I hope I'm wrong. Hope we do cover. I mean, it doesn't matter. I don't care if we cover. I hope
cover doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have money on the game, so I don't. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I never ever bet. I can't bet on you can't bet on your team. If you bet on your team, you probably should check yourself into it.
You're setting yourself up for heartbreak even more than just the loss.
Yeah, you just can't, because you can't be. I mean, well, I guess I can be realistic about it most of the time, but even I don't know. You always. I guess as a Falcons fan, we're a special breed, so we're optimistic, but we're so ingrained pessimism that we kind of understand that
exactly.
Yeah, I don't even. We're an odd breed. So, but yeah. So I mean, realistically, man, though, what do you want to see from them this game? Like, as a whole, I mean, score aside, like, what do you want to see?
No. I want to see fight. I want to see them, play the entire game, stay in it. I don't want to get blown out. Like we talked about, these types of games against the upper echelon in the league have not went well for the Falcons this year. So I just want to see them just compete, and hang in the game, basically not get blown out. That's, and I hate to even say that, but they have not played well against the better teams in the league this year, and they need to reverse that this week.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we have a ton of young players. You said it over and over again. Playing against guys like these, and we say it, it's the NFL. Anything can happen. The Jaguars won, but positionally, we are woefully undermatched by just looking at you can go across the line. There's probably 3 guys we would take if we're from the Falcons, if we're building a team based on these 2 teams. Maybe. I mean, Pitts being 1, AJ being 2. I guess maybe. I mean, Matt and Josh. I don't know, man. Josh younger, bigger arm. I mean, it's a tough one. I mean, there's not one receiver I would take over Stephon Diggs.
Definitely not.
Yeah, offensive line. I'm sure there's a few washes in there. I'm not an expert on the Bills' offensive line by any stretch of the imagination, but obviously we know our own issues we've had with our guys this year. Outside of Lidstrom, who's just been. I think I saw again, man. That dude is like PFF's one of the top rated guards this year by Pro Football Focus, which is awesome. I mean, we need a bright spot on the offensive line, for God's sake. But yeah, I mean, like you said, I want to see him fight. I don't want to see if it starts getting ugly, it just snowballs and gets worse and worse and worse, and just like no fight left in him. I mean, the weather could be an equalizer of sorts. If things kind of aren't. There's a lot of variables in this game that could. That are outside of football that could affect it. But I want to see if the guys are healthy, man. I want to see Grant keep, he had a great game last week for him. I think it was his best game of the year. See him build on that, see some of the other younger guys. I want to see, I mean, AJ has performed against every receiver he's went against this year. So I want to
matchup.
Yeah, it's gonna be a really, really good matchup with Diggs. I want to see how that plays out. Hopefully Moreau, like I said, is healthy, because if not, we're gonna have a really, really bad time on the other side of the field. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I just want to go up there, fight, come back, ready for the Saints, close out the season, and then we'll get on to draft talk and free agents and a whole nother, conversation at that point. So to wrap up on that topic on the Bills, getting into the college playoff games, which is today in a few hours, about 4.5 hours is when Alabama and Cincinnati will kick off. And we'll touch on both of these games a little bit because, like we said on the last show, Troy and I both are big college fans. So, and this is one of the bigger days of the year for the college football.
It's probably the best day of the year, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I mean, and so intriguing. The first matchup, Alabama and Cincinnati. obviously me, myself being an Alabama fan, I mean, last I checked, I think they were 13 and a half favorites.
Yep.
I think it's one of those sneaky games. If you remember the matchup years ago when Utah played Bama and I think it was the Rose Bowl, not Sugar Bowl, and came in. Bama big favorites. Utah blasted them. I mean, but Cincinnati has got some really, really solid players. Desmond Ridder at quarterback, and Alabama's had issues in the past with mobile quarterbacks or just any kind of dynamic quarterback. They've not been the best against. I guess you could call Stetson a mobile quarterback, though. Sort of. He's not Desmond Ridder, but I mean, like he can run and get off the pocket.
He does have the wills. Yeah, I mean, he can get away. No doubt, but yeah, I mean, you're right. Like historically, even going back years, I mean, those are the types of quarterbacks that give Nick Saban fits. Is scrambling type quarterbacks. Going back to Johnny Manziel, and I mean, those are the guys that can beat Alabama. And you're right, Desmond Ridder could be that guy. Kind of my comparison. I guess as close to apples as I can get is, Cincinnati and Georgia in the Peach Bowl last year. And he played pretty well. I mean, I know he's a year older, but he didn't play bad in that game.
No, so. They had an opportunity to win that game.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean,
yep.
Yeah. And then they've got, I'm going to be watching closely because for a couple of reasons. I mean, a guy like Sauce Gardner, big 6'2" corner on the outside, somebody that could be a fit for the Falcons possibly if they chose to go that direction. I mean, I think we talked about it last week. I don't know how you don't pick an edge rusher if there's a valid one there. But I'm not opposed to going, if somebody like Gardner's there, I'm not opposed to that either, because if you have AJ on one side and Gardner on the other side, that does help. Just the same way the defensive line will help your secondary, or a better secondary will help your defensive line as well. So
that's true, but you still got to get to the quarterback, though. I mean,
agreed. Yeah, agreed.
Can't guard forever. You got to put some pressure on them.
Yeah, exactly. And then Kobe Bryant on the other side. I mean, they have two good corners. I mean, that's. I don't, like I said, they've got some good players. I mean, freaking Jerome Ford was an Alabama transfer. The running back. I mean, solid running back. Like I said, I try to look at it kind of objectively, even though I'm a fan. I think they might hang, but I don't see them being able to hang for full 4 quarters, especially if. And I don't know that. Look, I mean, the Alabama's defense against Georgia was entirely different than what I've seen or anybody's seen most of the season. It was like they flipped a switch and was like, okay, we're back to being Alabama now. So I don't know if that was an aberration or if that's okay. They fixed some things or what.
To me, that's the most intriguing thing about this matchup. I mean, your comparison about the Utah game, really, to me, and I'm not an Alabama fan, so I'm definitely objective. Is to me, those types of games, Saban doesn't. They truly didn't care. I mean, I hate to say that.
They weren't. It wasn't the national championship game,
and it wasn't an opportunity to play the national championship game like today. So I mean, they've laid an egg in several games like that over the years, but this isn't that. I mean, this is the playoff, win and advance. The most interesting thing to me about it is just Alabama. I watched pretty much all their bigger games this year. I mean, I watched the Florida game, LSU, Arkansas, Auburn, A&M. And they did not look good this year. I mean, it was kind of head scratching. Alabama's still Alabama. Nick Saban's still Nick Saban. They've still got 5 stars all over the field. And several of those games, really all the games that I just named, I mean, they could have lost. Really should have lost a couple. Could have lost the Auburn game.
Yep.
Could have lost Arkansas. Did obviously lose A&M. And to me, the thing that was so telling about those games is just they got bullied on the lines, both sides. It just doesn't happen. I mean, they kind of like the Patriots. They build around the trenches, and they win games on the line. And I haven't seen that out of an Alabama team really probably since Saban's first or second year. So, like you said, I mean, that Georgia game, they truly did flip a switch. And to me, that's the biggest question. Was that the anomaly, or did they, for the season, okay, now it matters. Let's play some football.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'll know that really quickly in the Cincinnati game, whether they, came to play. And I don't think we have a way of knowing that now, but I guess my big picture, prediction, I guess, would be never bet against Saban in a game that matters, especially against a lesser program like Cincinnati. I know they're talented, and I know Desmond Ritter is a good quarterback and has the ability to scramble, and they're the kind of guy that could give Bama fits, but.
Yeah.
I think that might be close for a while, maybe even halftime, be tight, and then they'll probably run away with it in the second half.
Yeah, that's probably a good call. And you look at Bryce Young, the dude doesn't seem to make bad decisions.
Yep.
And I think they'll have to take the ball away a few times and capitalize on that to really stay in there for 4 quarters. I think, like you mentioned, the Texas A&M game, I watching that game and I was so pissed off. And at the end of the game, I thought, man, I really want them to lose this game, because they played so badly that if you win a game like that, then you come out going, man, we played this shitty and we still won. But when you lose, it gives Saban all the ammunition he needs to go, look, this is what we have to change. And I think that, as well as the Auburn game, the offensive line got just manhandled in the Auburn game.
Yep.
I mean, not even remotely. I mean, it was like a different shell of themselves. And I thought, damn. And that was also the best thing that could have happened to them, because you've got a ton of, like, Saban until the Georgia game. Here you go, guys. We cannot let this happen against Georgia. And Georgia has obviously a better front than Auburn did. So whatever happened, I don't know what the hell happened, but they stepped up against Georgia and just, I mean. If that offensive line, and the thing is, Cincinnati, they've had a pretty good pass rush all season long for them. Granted, this will be their biggest test by far, because you're looking at an offensive line for the first, second, third round.
Absolutely, by far.
Yeah. So I mean, I think if they could run the ball with Robinson successfly, and then if Robinson gets over 100 yards, then it's going to be. I think that's just a recipe for success for Alabama. But like I said, crazier things have happened. I mean, looking at ESPN, I think all but like maybe 2 guys picked Alabama, but yeah, we'll see. I just think, like you said, I think your prediction is probably pretty spot on. They might hang in there for a while, and Ritter may make a few plays that wow you, and but they're gonna have to make some. They're gonna have to play their best game of the season on basically every position, both sides of the ball. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But and we talked about Michigan, Georgia. Oh, did you have something else to say?
Well, no. Do you have a formal prediction for the Bama game?
No, I didn't know anything about it, but I can give you one off the cusp. I think Alabama scores 30 pretty easily. Well, not easily. I shouldn't say easily. I think, but they've been scoring 30 on a pretty regular basis this year against most everybody. So I don't know. I'll say 38-24. I'll say it's somewhat close.
Yeah. So I've thought about this, and mine was 40-24. So we're top of each other.
Nice. Yeah. And that we did not speak about that. So yeah.
No, we didn't.
And we did talk about the Michigan Georgia game a little bit on the previous podcast. My thoughts really hasn't changed all that much. I think Georgia's 7.5 point favorite going into the game. We didn't know, I think previously, which quarterback, but apparently Todd Monken has said that will be Stetson, at least starting the game. So he said I'm paraphrasing again, but I think he said without a doubt they think they could win a national championship with Stetson at the quarterback. I'm not a fan, but I could totally disagree with that statement. I mean, hey, if you can, hey, great job, but yeah, just from what I saw against Bama, I don't know, man. They're gonna have a tough matchup. I mean, there's both teams like to run the ball. It's gonna be, I think, a lowish scoring game, I think. But Cade McNamara is no slouch at quarterback. They got some good receivers. Of course, Aiden Hutchinson on the defensive line, Heisman Trophy candidate. So
you can definitely give someone like Stetson fits.
Yeah. And then also somebody I'll be watching out for is Ojabo on, I think that's how you say his last name, for Michigan. But that's somebody that might be there for us as well as the draft, because I've seen several mock drafts with us taking him, which, like I said, Hutchinson gets all the praise on that line because he's got all the numbers and everything. But Ajabo is pretty big dude who gets some nice pressure on the quarterback as well. So be watching that as well because the Georgia offensive line also solid. So we'll see, man. It's going to be anything stand out to you on this game?
No, I mean, I think it's another very interesting matchup that I obviously can't wait to watch. Really interested to see how Georgia bounces back after their kind of come to reality against Bama. I think they'll bounce back, though. I really do. I don't think they'll by any means blow them out, but I think they'll play well. I mean, Cade McNamara, you're right, is no slouch. He's a solid quarterback, but he's not Bryce Young. That game that Bryce Young had against Georgia was obviously, I don't know that it won the Heisman for him, but it was definitely the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
I don't see Cade having that level of a game. It's possible, but I don't
He
see
played
it.
well against Ohio State.
No, you're right. He did. And I said it last week or earlier in the week, but I thought Ohio State was the team that probably would match up against, Bama or Georgia in the playoffs. Yeah. Michigan, they made them look pretty bad. So I don't know. I'm really, all I can say is I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. I can't even, I've talked about this with several people and I can't even put a finger on what I think, because it's so, I guess if you'd have seen Georgia play a little differently against Alabama, maybe it'd been an easier game to call.
Yep.
But, and you like to think Kirby's going to have these, I mean, my God, he's had an entire month almost to really fix what happened against Alabama. So, I mean, clearly they're a talented team. It's just going to depend on whether that back end of the defense can hold up against, some of the Michigan receivers. But like I said, Michigan likes to run the ball too. I mean, Blake Corum has done a good job running the ball for them all year. Offensive line's solid. I mean, Harbaugh's done a good job for the most part recruiting up there. He's gotten the program back more on the map than it was before him, getting there. They haven't beat Ohio State near as much as I think as they thought they would or wanted to. But I mean, this could be, like I said, I don't even know. I just think it's going to be I can't even do a prediction, man. I mean, you
got to give us something.
I'm going to go Michigan wins by a field goal.
Okay.
24-21.
Okay. So I'm going, I think UGA will pull it out. I think it's going to be another all SEC rematch of the SEC championship game. I'm going to go UGA 23-13.
I like it. Yeah, I'm good either way. I don't, a part of me picking Michigan, I just kind of want to see Michigan and Alabama if that's, like just something different because I mean, if it's Georgia again, and I mean, that's fine. I mean, I don't know, as a country, I don't know that I think the Alabama Georgia game though was like the highest rated game in quite some time. So
yeah, I mean it's kind of reminiscent of 2011. LSU.
Yeah.
I don't think the
was that the 9-3 or 9-6 game?
The regular season game was
the
Century and Tuscaloosa, and then Alabama skunked them in the championship game 21-0. LSU didn't even cross midfield.
That's right.
But it's kind of reminiscent to that. But I mean, personally, I don't think either of these teams this year are as good as those teams were. The Bama LSU teams of 2010, 2011.
Those defenses then were.
Oh, that was just a different era. That entire.
Totally. Yeah.
But so I mean, no, I'm not an SEC guy to the point where I want to see a rematch because I don't want to see a rematch.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already seen that game. We saw it. It wasn't 3 months ago. It was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So that's not what I'm wanting. I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I know. And I mean, of course,
I wouldn't be. Yeah, my feelings wouldn't be hurt if it doesn't happen, but I think that both teams are probably just too strong.
Yeah, I mean, and of course, all of our Georgia friends. I mean, of course, they want to see the game again because that means they have a chance to beat Bama again and then have won a national championship. But I'm with you. I just hope it's however it ends up. I just hope it's a good enough game where it's not people not tuning in to watch it because I mean it's that's even if it's Georgia Alabama again, there's a reason those two teams are there. I mean, so I mean there'll be a whole nother I guess, chess match going on because of what the first game and how that went. Then how they're going to prepare and try to. It'll be a Saban versus Kirby type of just truly. I mean,
a lot of storylines for sure.
Yeah, no, exactly. So yeah, that's it for the playoff talk. We just wanted to mention it, like I said, because we're not going to get into it deeply because we're not a college football podcast, but we're in the South. We're both college football fans, and we know people like it and want to hear about it. So we're going to talk about it. Now, getting on to just random nothingness, which me and Mike like to do on a pretty regular basis on this show. New Year's Eve, man. It is not what it used to be for me. I don't know about you.
Us either. all I know is I am OLD. I am officially old now.
So back, I mean, so Liam is 11 years old, my son. You got 2 4-year-old twins. So it's been less of a thing for us, probably a little bit longer than you. But yeah, I mean, we basically, Amanda and I, we lived in Las Vegas for about 3 years. And those were our last 3 truly like just kind of blowout New Year's type of, because we didn't have a kid then. It was just us. We were in Vegas and we had,
it's a good place to be single without kids.
Yeah.
New Year's.
Yeah. We had some just.
I shouldn't say single. I should say married without kids.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, with some of the perks she had from her job, and we had some chances to do some really cool things. And I mean, yeah, those New Year's I'm really foggy on as far as everything that went on those nights, but we had a blast. But now, I mean, Liam, he's at the age now, like before he would go to bed and he'd want us to wake him up at New Year's so he could just be there, then go back to bed. Like, I think he'll probably want to stay up tonight. And he did last year. He wanted to stay up, and sometimes he doesn't make it, but that's just kind of what we've been doing, but we don't go out anymore. We'll have a few drinks for sure, toasting the new year. But pretty boring overall, man. I mean, it's, I've heard though from my friends that have kids that have already graduated, that just totally, that they reverse back to their 21-year-old self as soon as the kids have graduated. So maybe we'll go back to partying and once he's out of the house, but yeah, who knows? But it's what about you?
We're in the exact same boat, especially with the playoff games being today. We will definitely be watching football until hopefully late. Hopefully like the games won't be boring and turn them off at halftime. But no, we have zero plans. Watch a lot of football. Probably just hang out. Doubt the kids will make it past.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, no. So they definitely won't make it till New Year's, and they wouldn't know if they did anyways. That doesn't. But yeah, I'll probably be just kind of kick back, hoping to make it till midnight. Might get lucky and may actually make it with my drink of choice in hand, coffee. Trying to.
That's fantastic. Coffee. I do love coffee, but I will probably have a bourbon in hand more than likely.
Okay.
We normally get champagne and we'll toast. Mike's not here, but underrated, overrated champagne.
I would agree. Yeah.
It's the bubbles, man. It's just like it fills me up almost. I can't. I don't. It tastes good for the first few times. You're like, okay, I've had enough of this now, and the headache I get from it, it's just not. I don't know if that's old me or what it is, but yeah,
so you're going bourbon, huh?
Yep, I'll have a nice bourbon in hand. But Amanda might actually too. She's actually a big bourbon fan as well. Strangely enough, she likes tequila, which I think would be surprising to any of you that had known her, because I don't know if you were at that party years ago where she had way too much tequila at our house in Anawake, and yeah,
I don't.
We'll just say it was the last time she had tequila for probably 10 to 15 years, and then. I don't know how she got back on. I think one of her friends had her try something that had it in it, and because she could, for a while there, she couldn't even smell it. I mean, it was like if it was anywhere near, she just couldn't, So yeah, but she's back. She can do it now. But she has developed a taste for bourbon. So yeah, we'll probably toast a bourbon. If Liam's awake, he'll have a I don't know, apple juice or something like that.
Yeah,
he'll toast for us. But any shows y'all watch or anything that?
Yeah, I mean, kind of grew up watching the Dick Clark deal, and
Yeah.
whatever show, acts
Hmm.
at the Dick Clark, but I guess Ryan Seacrest hosts that now. And I
Yeah.
don't know, something probably in the background, but nothing like religiously that we have to stay locked into. And like I said, I mean, of the last, let's call it 4 years since the kids have been around, we might have actually made it to, the midnight two of those times. So it's
So it's
pretty sad to admit.
what you're saying is it's really big for you guys.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's a huge deal.
Could tell. Yeah, we used to watch when I guess MTV was more relevant. We used to watch MTV a lot on the, because I used to have, I mean, honestly, most of the bands that play now for I don't like or
Same.
have
Yeah,
anything
music
to
in
do
general
with.
sucks these days.
Yeah. So I mean, unless somebody's got some kind of metal band that which they don't. So I mean, a few of the rap artists I may tune into, but even some of the newer rap I don't listen to. So I mean, like it's MTV used to be probably one of the better ones for us because they would have some of the bands that maybe weren't so well known and not super mainstream, but that's not the case anymore. So that's totally changed. But yeah, same as us, same as you guys, we would have Ryan, I guess Seacrest on now at the, like you said, in the background, flipping back and forth between them and somebody else. I mean, I don't even know, dude. I haven't watched MTV in so long, except for the occasional ridiculousness, which is funny every time.
Yeah.
But I don't even know what's on there anymore. Probably Jersey Shore reunion part 35 or some shit.
Yeah, Real World 878.
Man, yeah. The original reality TV, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So also looking back at 21, man. So pretty interesting sports year, I guess, for us Atlanta peoples. What would happen to be either the favorite, or if you had to group some favorite moments together, what would you say? I guess I kind of know what you're probably going to say, but
well, dude. I mean, no question what the number one is for me. You and I have lived in Atlanta most or all of our lives, and we've been through some pretty rough patches, with at least, especially the last, call it 26 years. So we've been a long time for that next Braves World Series, and that was the far and away the highlight of the year for me, was the Braves winning the World Series. I guess more specifically the Jorge Soler homer, third inning, Game 6. That was probably a top 3 sports moment for me. So
maybe in my lifetime.
No, I'm talking, that's what I'm saying.
Lifetime. Yeah.
Oh, not this year. No, that's by far the number one for the year. I'm talking in my lifetime. That was top 3 probably. So no, it was a great sports year for us as Atlantans that are used to getting our hearts broken and kind of relive over and over Atlanta moments. We've had too many 28-3s and infield fly rolls and run first innings against the Cardinals in a wild card game, and it's been a never-ending saga. So to finally get that monkey off our back after 26 years has been. I'm not over it yet. I'll say that. I still remind myself just about every day that Braves won the World Series.
Dude, I have a new yard flag that's got the World Series emblem on it with the Braves. I mean, so I see it every day when I drive out and drive in. I mean, not to be boring, but that's definitely my top. I mean, I could watch the Jorge Soler home run every day.
Repeat.
I mean, it gives me chills every day. I mean, I still have the Game 6 on. I haven't deleted it yet. It's still on my.
I'm not going to delete it. Yep.
I mean, the DVD, I'm definitely going to buy that. That's got the, I think it's narrated by Ludacris. And
really?
Yeah. It's like that's a story about this year. But just, I mean, with everything that happened to the Braves this year, I mean, with Acuna getting hurt, and I mean, the deals that Anthopoulos made at the deadline, bringing in those guys. I mean, just finally beat the Dodgers, and then the Astros, who I haven't had any respect for since the whole trash can gate thing.
Yep.
Like Altuve and Correa, those guys. I mean, it was just I can't describe the feeling I had that night, man. I was just, I jumped off the couch. I mean, I didn't know. I was just, I hugged my son, and Amanda, and we were all just, it was just amazing. I mean,
Yep.
you know, and like Liam, I mean, like those are moments that dude, like I told him, I said, man, you were so lucky because in 95, I mean, like you were what, how old in 95?
I was 11.
Right. So I was 13, 14.
Yep.
So, I mean, I remember Marquise catching that ball in left field, and I remember David
Yep.
Justice's home run, and just, you know, the amazing thing that, you know, the amazing game Glavine pitched. I told him, I said, dude, I said, this is going to be so awesome for you because you've got these ridiculous moments like with Soler and just, I mean, and just the roller coaster that was this season for it to happen like this. I mean, just amazing. But a few other moments for me, man. Trae Young in the Garden
Yes.
was so fun to
Yes.
watch.
Yes, it was.
And beat the freaking Knicks. Just, you know, any other New York team that's orange and blue, you know. And for me, I mean, for any Premier League fans out there, Chelsea winning the Champions League was not even close to something they thought was possible. You don't follow that at all, do you?
Not really. I've jumped on the Atlanta United
Yeah.
bandwagon, you know, so I've started to watch some soccer, you know, over the years. But
Mhm.
I even when I go to games, you know, which going to games is really fun to me. It's the best atmosphere in Atlanta sports right now.
Right.
I don't half the time know what the heck's going on. You know, I don't. What was that penalty? You know, what, offsides? What? So
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I don't know much about soccer. A good friend of mine that I work with is a huge soccer nut, so he has kind of educated me as best as he can. But I'm dumb, and it's taken me a long time to really figure it out. So
Yeah, so I started watching because I if you'd have told me young me or even like 20 years old me that I'd be a huge soccer fan at age almost 40, then I've been like, no, not possible. Completely wrong. Yeah, I started watching Premier League in around 2014, and I knew everybody that I'd already heard or I'd talked to was either a Liverpool fan, a Manchester United fan, you know. So I didn't want to be fan. I guess I want to be different. I didn't want to pick the teams that people all knew of. So I just happened to watch the first game I watched was Chelsea against Arsenal, and Chelsea, I think they won 6-1 or something like that. It was a crazy amount of goals scored. Eden Hazard was who's still playing. He plays for Madrid. Amazing game. So I just I don't know. I just picked Chelsea. I was like, all right, they're gonna be my team. I like, you know, I like that. You know, I mean, there's an amazing community of Chelsea fans online. Just like any sports team, there's a whole negative, you know, base that like Twitter's Twitter. I mean, it's a wasteland of garbage, and then there's also some positivity to it. But
good summary.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, long story short, so I've been following, and Liam got into it, of course, when United came around. I started, you know, became a United fan. But yeah, I mean, we play FIFA. He and I play FIFA pretty religiously. So, I mean, we've kind of bought in 100%. I don't miss too many Chelsea games. I listen to Chelsea podcast. So yeah, like I said, but anyway, when they to give you a short synopsis, they changed coaches like mid-season basically, and went on a run. We were 9th or 10th in the Premier League, ended up finishing in the top 4 to make Champions League again, and then basically the top 4 of every major like conference in Europe play in the Champions League. So, and we ended up winning that and beating Madrid along the way and beating Manchester City in the final, which was, I mean, nobody projected us to do that. So that was a really cool moment for myself. So any other soccer fans out there, they'll probably get that one. But yeah, that was, like I said, Braves definitely tops it off, followed by the Hawks probably. Bama winning earlier in the season, of course. That was kind of last year, but that was, you know, obviously good too. So any just terrible moments for you this sports season, or the sports, or like bad moments?
Well, I mean,
other than Acuna getting hurt.
Yes, that was definitely a bad, but you know, like you said, the way the Braves somehow overcame that and found a way to win it was pretty awesome. But no, I'm an LSU fan, so you know, since about this time, 2 years ago now, it's been a pretty rough patch for LSU football. So I think, you know, watching any LSU game the last year, really 2 years, has been pretty rough for me.
I don't. How do you feel about next year?
It's going to be interesting. I will say that, you know, obviously there's all this talk in Twitter chatter over who the coach is going to be. And I mean, Brian Kelly seemed to come out of left field. I think it's going to take them some time. I mean, their recruiting class wasn't any good, and, you know, to no one's fault given the circumstances, but I don't know what to think. I mean, I think that it's kind of an odd hire. He's definitely not the right cultural fit for Baton Rouge, but
bullshit. I heard the interview. I saw it. That man is from the South.
My family.
Dude, look, man. Look, if y'all have not seen Brian Kelly's speech at the basketball game, then y'all have to just YouTube that and do yourself a favor and listen to Brian Kelly as a Southern Louisiana, native, because it's,
Bayou Brian. But no, I mean, I think he's a good coach. I mean, he's done good things. Name. He's kind of wet the bed on the big stage, at least historically, but he's also at Notre Dame. I mean, you're not going to get the C type talent there, you know, where you have to be able to read at Notre Dame. You know, that's not necessarily a requirement at LSU. So no, I think he's going to get the players. I think it's just a matter of whether his kind of coaching philosophy and system is going to work, you know, in C. But I don't know. I'm excited. I mean, I was kind of ready for a change. You know, it's been a roller coaster of emotions with Coach O over the years. You know, I was very down on him when they hired him. Again, I'm admitting when I'm wrong, but I really wanted Tom Herman. I was at my father-in-law's watching some game, and they flashed, ESPN flash, you know, LSU to announce Tom Herman. I was like, yeah. Woo. And then like an hour later, never mind, Texas to announce Tom Herman. LSU to announce Ed Orgeron. I was not happy, but then, you know, just a couple short years later, here we are with
got an Eddie
all time. Exactly. So it's been a weird few years, but that's welcome to my life as a sports fan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's, I mean, as long as Brian Kelly speaks with that accent for as long as he's at LSU, I'll be very happy, because I can listen to that all the time. That crack me up, man.
Well, I mean, you know, talking about that, you know, the cultural side of it, you know, Coach O was obviously the fit for Baton Rouge, and we saw where that got us. And then Les Miles, you know, wasn't a cultural fit at all. He was, you know, arguably more of a Yankee than Brian Kelly is, and I think that always kind of hurt him. You know, I think a lot of the, you know, the hardcore LSU, Baton Rouge folks, Louisiana folks were, you know, never really liked that about Les Miles. But if you win games, you win games, and I think a lot of the knock on Les Miles wasn't his recruiting ability; it was his game management, and you know, he just did some absolutely idiotic things during the game. Great recruiter, and if Brian Kelly can be a good recruiter and bring in the right staff around him, he can win games. Yeah,
I mean, I'm surprised that I thought with Coach O, I know it's more than just being where you're from, but I thought he could recruit that area better than almost anyone just because of that. But
well, and he really did. I mean, talent was never his problem. Personally, I think that what happened to Coach O is, you know, that LSU was his dream job. Winning a natty at his dream job was obviously his, you know, ultimate goal. And I think kind of once that happened, he kind of just, you know, took his foot off the gas a little bit.
Yeah.
Started focusing on, you know, blonde women and whatever else, you know, and kind of football was a little bit on the back burner. But
yeah, I
don't know. I mean, there's so many rumors out there that you don't know what to believe, but he definitely wasn't focused on, you know, winning championships in LSU.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see. We didn't even touch on this, not to go back to Georgia, but Dan Lanning leaving to go to Oregon. I mean, I guess that, you know, Kirby made Muschamp and other dude, I can't remember his name, defensive coordinator. So that might be a little wrinkle in this game as well that I didn't really think about. But
no, good point. Good point.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I hope LSU. Honestly, I hope they get back to because it's weird, like the Bama LSU, it's a rivalry, but to me, it's different than like than the Auburn Alabama or, you know, something like that. It seems like there's always been like because Chris, the guy that comes on to Saints, you know, that does our Saints preview and review, huge LSU fan as well. I mean, like massive LSU fan, and you know, there's always been it's like a healthy respect, basically. I think because both programs seem to always. It's always a hell of a game, it seems like, you know, and it's just different. There's no hate from Bama toward LSU, I don't think. I mean, I'm sure there is for some people.
Well, what I would say to that, I guess my rebuttal to that is, I think that at least where we're sitting today, the Bama fans don't really view it as much of a rivalry is because it really hasn't been. You know, since the 2010, 2011 era, LSU's won one time, I believe.
Maybe, yeah.
So, I mean, LSU just hasn't been there like they were, you know, from 2010, 11 back. So, yeah, for the last several years, it really hasn't been a rivalry. That's why that game in 19 meant so much to everybody, the state, you know, particularly Coach O. But I would say the hatred today probably is a little one-sided. I mean, I can say that, you know, I have a lot of family, a lot of friends that are hardcore LSU fans, and yeah, they all hate Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
So that would probably be one side. I think I have, you know, good friends that are Bama fans too, and I don't think most of them hate LSU because they don't have to. You know, what are we, 9-1 the last 10 years or whatever?
Yeah, well, even when it was competitive, though, I mean, like I always look forward to the games because there was always, like, you knew they were going to bring a good defense. You know, we were going to have a good defense. You know, and it was like you said, though, back then, 2010 and prior, it was a different game. It was defense and run the ball.
It was in the trenches. Yep.
Yeah. So it was. I guess that makes me old school too. Is I love those type of games. I don't like the airing it out 50 to 45 games. I mean, those are exciting games, but I'm just fine watching a 10-3. To be honest, I love seeing. I love watching defense. You know, I love watching the guy. I just don't know. I guess like I said, it makes me old or something. But yeah, I mean, I hope Brian gets it back to a level where it's, you know, every year it's that first November, was it first week in November, pretty much every year that Alabama and LSU played, that it's you know, it's very meaningful, you know, one way or the other, whether it's, you know, it has implications on that, what's going to happen later on in the season.
Yeah. The only other thing I'd say about Brian Kelly as a hire is he is the most kind of pedigreed or accomplished hire that they've probably ever had. Even Nick Saban.
That's true.
When they hired him, wasn't some, you know, powerhouse at Michigan State. Les Miles certainly wasn't, you know, fairly mediocre at Oklahoma State. Coach O, obviously, we all know his history, never really did anything as a head coach. So at least Brian Kelly is a proven winner and kind of has that track record of, you know, building and sustaining a program where those guys really didn't. So I guess, you know, optimistically, if a Coach O or even a Les Miles can win a national championship, then, you know, why couldn't Brian Kelly? But we shall see.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I said, I hope they get back. I mean, the same way I feel about Tennessee. Now, I do hate Tennessee more than LSU, just because Tennessee, I don't know. I've always not liked them. But you know, it was. But when Tennessee was good, when LSU was good, it was just fun. Man, it was just more fun to watch. You know, I mean, I like to have it more competitive. I don't like it when it's 2 or 3 teams that are top heavy and the rest of the divisions are, you know, so the more competitive that the SEC can get, it's already the best conference. I mean, my opinion, I think probably your opinion.
100%.
But yeah, just to see those teams kind of get back to where they were. Even Florida State, I know it's the ACC, but man, I miss Florida State being good because that used to be, you know, those Miami Florida State games used to be just epic to watch.
Yep.
You know, so
Florida State. Yep.
Mm-hmm. I mean, so yeah, hopefully those guys and Mario Cristobal, I think, you know, I've got a good friend who's a Miami graduate, and you know, he's pretty excited about Cristobal coming back to Miami because, I mean, guy played there, understands the culture, should be able to recruit there, no problem, I would think. I mean, I think you may see a change in Florida where Miami might find themselves right back at the top of the food chain as far as Florida teams go. And Florida Gators themselves, I don't know what they've got themselves a mess, but man, yeah, that Mullen did not work out.
I've heard a lot of kind of varying opinions about Billy Napier. You know, he's from Louisiana, or kind of from, and I mean, a lot of like my LSU friends and family, they wanted him to come to LSU. You know, they were really, you know, for the last several months. I don't know. I've heard a lot of smart people thinking that he's going to turn around Florida, but to me, there's no excuse for not winning there.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know why Dan Mullen couldn't. I guess he didn't recruit. I guess that's the bottom line. He never really cared about recruiting and never really had those good classes. But I don't know.
He doesn't seem overly bright, man.
Well, I mean,
that'd be a dick. He just didn't seem like. I mean,
no, I completely agree. But he was kind of the quarterback whisperer, though. I mean, he always found a way to make his quarterbacks better. And even like Kyle Trask, for example, you know, he found a way, I guess, until this year, to make these kind of lesser known guys. I mean, even like Dak, wasn't
Right.
like a huge recruit,
No.
but I don't know. I really thought he would succeed in Florida, and I don't really understand other than maybe he's not the best X's and O's guy, but they never really had top tier recruiting classes either. And he
No.
basically as much that he didn't really care about or interested in recruiting. So
Yeah, I mean, if you're like you said, if you're in Florida and you are the Gators, the Seminoles, or Miami, there's no reason you should not have top talent. I mean,
Yep.
there's not. I mean, it's because those. I mean, there's that's along with Georgia and Texas. I mean, they put out just an insane amount of talent every year. So yeah. So anyway, that's our college. I guess our college notebook talk of the day. But like I said, it was fun to talk about. A few weird little things, or not weird, but kind of funny things. Just because, again, none of us like the Panthers, and none of us like Cam Newton. So since this, I saw this on NFL memes. You might have saw it. Since Cam Newton yelled, "I'm back," during that game. Yeah. He's 0-5 since then. Panthers are 0-13 in his last 13 starts as a quarterback. 3 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Fantastic. I love it. And then another crazy stat by Pro Football Focus, and this is just off. I just happened to see it and it caught my eye. Aaron Rodgers has only thrown an interception on 1.3% of his career attempts.
It's insane.
Is that not? It's the best obviously it's best in NFL history. I mean,
yeah. So basically 1 out of 100 attempts he's throwing to the wrong team. That's
unreal.
It is.
Yeah, that's almost. I mean, so off the cusp. I mean, you taking Brett Favre, you taking Aaron Rodgers.
Ooh, in their prime.
In their prime.
I would have to go Aaron Rodgers. To me, he's more versatile. He can get away. They probably have similar arm strengths, accuracy.
Yeah.
Favre was probably more of a gunslinger. He'd make the pass that he probably shouldn't make sometimes, but he would he could also complete the pass that he probably shouldn't complete. So, but I don't know. I'd probably have to go Aaron Rodgers.
Me too. I never thought I would say that, but yeah, me too. Just over the ice. I mean, and the era that we've been in with him and Brady, and I mean the Mannings and like everything. I mean, that's
even the up and comers with Mahomes and Josh Allen. I mean, it's been a pretty awesome time to see some quarterbacks.
Yeah, I know. And yeah, so it'll be, I think it'll be interesting in the playoffs because, I mean, the Bucks are definitely beatable. I think, and Green Bay, they're rolling pretty well. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see them, especially the way Aaron's playing right now.
Yeah, I mean, if the NFC goes through Lambeau Field, it's going to be tough to beat the Packers, in my opinion.
Another, that reminds me of Michael Vick going up there and winning that game in Green Bay.
That's right.
That was awesome.
that was probably, talking about all-time Atlanta moments. That's my definitely top 5, maybe even.
It's got to be up there. Yeah, for sure.
That was friggin' awesome.
All right, man. Well, so we pretty much covered everything today that we wanted to get to. Like I said at the beginning of the show, Mike's going to hopefully have a message to everyone that's going to be at the end of the show here when we get done. Before I get on to this stuff, man, do you have anything else to add about anything we've talked about?
No, good stuff, man. Thanks for having me on again. I've enjoyed it. Yeah,
man, of course. Yeah, it's been fun. So yeah, real quick on how to contact us. You can follow us on Twitter at Out of Your Effing Mind. It's just Out of Your and then FN Mind. We may end up changing that because some people said, like, how do you spell it? And then it's just, we wanted to get it close to the name, but it's too long to be so we may change it, make it easier. But you can probably type in Out of Your Falcon Mind and find it out. But anyway, on Instagram at Out of Your Falcon Mind, easy enough. You can join the Facebook group. You can send us an email to ATL Falcons Fancast at gmail.com. Like I said, Terry, we got your email, man, and we will read it out on the next episode with Mike. And then overall, guys, look, we're 21 episodes in. Mike and I started this, a few weeks into the season. We wanted to start it earlier in the spring, and it's just like our work schedules just didn't allow it, and we could not get it going for either one of us. We finally did. It has been so much fun to do the interactions we've had so far has been great with all the fans that of the team. We just want to keep that coming. We've got the Wearing the Falcon Are You segment or series, whatever you want to call, coming out soon. We'll have a few guys come on the show that are and if you're new to the show, you haven't listened, if you haven't heard before, if you're not from Georgia or Atlanta and you're a Falcons fan, we want to know why in the hell you chose to torture yourself like this. And when did you do it? Was it a player? Was it a coach? Was it like me with Chelsea? Was it just you just didn't want to pick one of the big guns and you're like, I'm just going to pick these guys and ride with them, So, you can email us that. You can send it to us on our social media accounts. If you want to be on the show, let us know. We can possibly hook that up. We do have one of those, like I said, going to happen sometime in January. Overall, like I said, guys, the support has been amazing. And through the 5-star reviews, those keep coming in for Spotify and for iTunes. If you're on Spotify and left a 5-star review, thank you so much. We can't see that, but it does. We just obviously can see our ranking. So if you've done that, means so much. And then on iTunes, you can go on there. And like I read off at the beginning of the show, if you leave us some words or write something nice, whatever, we'll definitely read it out. If you leave us a 5-star review, we greatly appreciate it. Helps other Falcons fans find us, helps us move up to the top of the list for Falcons podcast. So like I said, overall, guys, it's been fantastic. We're going to keep going. We're going to have stuff in the off season as well, whether it be draft, free agents, interviews. We're going to try to get, we're going to reach out to anybody we can, because, the worst thing can happen is they can say no. So, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? So we're going to take as many shots as we can and see what happens. But so wishing everybody a very happy new year. Stay safe. Have fun. If you're on the road, don't drink, don't drive, don't be stupid. And anything else, guys, we will look forward to next week. We'll be reviewing this game. Hopefully it'll be somewhat, I don't know, manageable and not completely.
Falcons are going to win.
There you go. Thank you.
It's going to be all good. It's going to be all fun.
Perfect. And then, like I said, we'll get Chris back on to preview the Saints. So like I said, we got some more fun things coming up this year. But like I said, guys, just thanks so much for listening this year. Mike and I truly appreciate it. And Troy, we're definitely gonna have you back on, man. I mean, if you can become a regular, I think that would be fun. Have a third voice in the room and bring in some college knowledge and other stuff that we can add to the show. It'd be fun. So appreciate you having you on this week, guys. Like I said, you all be good, have fun, and we will see you all after the Bills game. Hopefully everybody comes back healthy and we compete and don't get embarrassed, and we can finish out the season on a somewhat strong note. So that's about as optimistic as I can get.
There you go.
Yeah, that's about it. All right, guys, have a great day, and we will see y'all next week. We are out.